All right, good morning, everyone. So I would like all of you to imagine being in a workplace where you're dealing with thousands of calls, thousands of customer escalations, thousands of high volume, high velocity workload, right? High attrition, out of sync processes. So these organizations, any organization that's going through this kind of situation is called high volume, high velocity organization. These organizations deal with crisis-like situations on a regular basis. These organizations can be any kind of organization. They can be financial, retail, government, non-governmental organizations. No matter what the organization type, the leaders in these organizations are struggling to motivate their employees to work towards a common goal. For the last 16 years, I've been helping such organizations transform. My experience does not come from work alone. My family has a good representation in military and space research. So I've grown up hearing stories of how these organizations help and motivate their employees to work towards a common goal. Based on my experience, I've identified 3 basic things that a leader can do to motivate their employees to work towards very complex and uncertain goals. I call them 3 C's. So while I introduce those 3 C's, I'll be sharing military tradition and military stories. And the reason is because I believe both military and these organizations, they're both trying to train their employees to handle crisis-like situations. So before I get into the discussion or introduce you to 3 C's, I also want to touch upon PPD Framework, which stands for People, Process, and Technology. When it comes to process and technology, they're very domain-specific. And of course, there are a ton of materials out there. So today in my talk, I'll be focusing more on the people part of the problem, because I believe if you take care of the people part of the problem, the magic automatically happens. So with that, let's start with the first C, which I call camaraderie. Camaraderie means friendship, right? Having a friend. It can be described as a situation where there's trust between employees. Now, why is it important? Because it fosters productivity, collaboration, increased efficiency. Now, according to 2021 survey, more than 50% of the employees said they enjoyed their workplace because they have a good friend. Let me share a story, a military story here, which just to showcase like how military tries to build camaraderie among their employees. So this story is about a young officer who's just about a week into his training. And he's approached by his training officer. So the trainee ends up sharing his concerns about the quality of food in the cafeteria. So the training officer, the following morning, he wakes up the third-year batch, the senior-most batch in that academy, a few minutes early, makes them run 20 rounds, and informs them that they're being punished because they're not aware of the concerns of the new batch. What does the third-year batch do? The following morning, they wake up the second-year batch, a few minutes early, make them run 20 rounds, and inform them that they're being punished because they're not aware of the concerns of the new batch. So there's a lot that you can take away from this story. And some of the things that can be applied to the corporate world is the importance of collective accountability or responsibility. So when you design a campaign or a bash in your organization, you want to consider the team goal in addition to individual goals. When it comes to celebration, you got to celebrate team success in addition to individual success. Every time you roll out a new decision, you want to follow up with a survey. And of course, you have to act on the survey too. Whatever you learn, you want to react to that with urgency. And last but not the least, do not forget to empower your team. So I'm pretty sure if you follow these guidelines, you can definitely build camaraderie in your team. And that concludes the first C. Let's move on to the second C, which is what I call connection or engagement. It can be described as a situation where the employee has a sense of belonging. And the sense of belonging is considered as basic as food, shelter, and safety. It fosters an environment which is happy and healthy and less stressful. Let me share a military tradition here, or how military tries to build connection among their employees. So this is called rum punch. So in this tradition, the officers take out their subordinates out for drinks. The subordinates are allowed to vent out. They're allowed to raise grievances around past decisions. The ground rule is that subordinates will not be punished or penalized for their misbehavior. Now, the goal of such tradition is to foster connection, right? So post-COVID, in the corporate world, it's become even more important for leaders to connect with their employees. One of the things you could do is being more transparent. So in the post-COVID world, during COVID, you would have observed that airlines industry, which was losing millions of dollars a day, and they didn't know how they're going to come out of this situation, they chose to over-communicate. So communication and transparency is really critical. Some of the other things, you got to do regular check-ins. You want to show integrity in your actions. You have to create platforms where people come together, both physical and virtually. You want to organize events. All these in addition to traditional methods of one-on-ones, huddles, and newsletters. So I'm pretty sure if you follow all this, you can build connection and improve engagement in your organization. The third and last C, which I want to talk about, is culture. So it's a pretty big topic, but I want to leave you with one small thing that has always done magic in my organization, which is to create an environment where you reward motivated and driven employees. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have an opportunity to send 2 of your employees to a conference. Now, there's 2 ways you could go about it. One is to nominate, the other is to select. The problem with nomination is that the employee that you select or identify, they may or may not be motivated to go to those conferences. Even when they go, they may or may not do a great job. But imagine if you have a selection process where you identify those who are truly motivated. The chances are, when they go to these conferences, they do an awesome job. Moreover, when they come back, and if you have them share their experience with the larger population, now you have motivated the next set of people who are motivated and driven and ready to go for such events the following year. So that concludes my third C. And I want to really understand the importance of these 3 C's, right? So if you try to build an environment where your employees have a great friend, they have a sense of belonging, and a culture which is driven and rewards the driven employees, then you build a very strong foundation. And this strong foundation is really important for you to move on to the next phase of your transformation, which is tweaking your processes or introducing new technology. And I've seen most of the transformation and most of the projects and programs fail because the leaders fail to understand the importance of taking care of the people part of the problem. And with that, I conclude. And thank you for the opportunity, and good luck with your transformation. Thank you.